Well, were you disappointed with your investment gains during Q1? Oh, well, if you were, then maybe you should have been investing in some of the crowdfunding campaigns along the way. It seems a lot of people have been, with Birchal reporting an 89% increase in equity compared to a sluggish 58% decrease for equity capital. To take us through the Q1 numbers for the CSF sector, Matt Vitale joins us from Birchal. Matt, great to have you back on the show. Man, the world is awash with capital, Australia especially right now. How much of this is sort of that enormous amount of capital that everyone is looking to deploy, especially in early stage companies? And how much is it this shift towards crowdfunding where especially retail investors are finding some great opportunities?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a couple of elements to this. I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of cash around in the market and people kind of wanting to put that to work. But what sits behind the numbers for the most recent quarter for crowdfunding is that the majority of these were follow-on offers. So these were companies that have raised previously through crowdfunding and then come back having executed their plans and opening an opportunity for investors to invest in the next phase of the journey, which from an industry perspective is phenomenal, because it's proving that these companies are putting capital to work, executing their plans, succeeding, and investors are there ready to back them into the next phase of their growth, which is brilliant.
Well, we've come sort of bursting out of the blocks in the first quarter. Was there anything that really particularly stood out for you and surprised you along the way as well? Of course, it's great that we're getting to this maturity where companies are coming back for another round.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Black Hop's offer, that was pretty early in the year as our first offer for the year. They raised their maximum target of 2.2 million in a little over 24 hours, which was brilliant. But just to put that in context, their first raise, they were the first brewery to complete an offer under the crowdfunding regime back in 2019. They raised 400,000 and at the time reported revenue of around 1.4 mil. This time, revenue's up at close to 14 million. So, in a few years, they've been able to kind of 10x their revenues and show a really great growth story. So, unsurprisingly, investors have supported them. Another example is Zirali, an adventure wear brand that we helped raise capital also in 2019. Their revenues are over $1 million now, and investors back them again. 300,000 the first time they raised, 1.2 million this time, over a 600% return, paper return for investors. So, I know people are kind of looking for exits, but it's still pretty early days for crowdfunding, but some really encouraging signs that these businesses are doing well and investors on paper at least are achieving some really solid gains.
Well, speaking of exits, Matt, I do recall chatting last year about your plans around a secondary market. What's happening on that front?
Yeah, look, we've built this service. We're ready to pilot it, and it's been difficult to find a good pilot because there are a range of conditions that we think need to exist before this product can be used effectively. It's all about having demand for your stock. You don't want to open a market and no one's interested in buying what you have to sell. So the way that we think this works best is shortly after a company's raised the capital that they need, that if there is any surplus demand or investors that miss out, which does happen pretty frequently on our platform, that there's the ability for the existing shareholders to kind of sell stock into this demand. We're actually raising capital ourselves on the Birchal platform at the moment. So I think that if we end up in that scenario, we'll probably just end up using Birchal Trade ourselves, and it'll be a good test case. We'll kind of be, eating our own dog food, if you like, and showing people how this works, and hopefully there'll be many more to come.
Well, I was about to ask you any interesting races going on right now. I think you've already singled one out. But I do want to ask you about one. The campaign, I think, has still got about 5 days to go. Wurundjeri, the Indigenous wellness company, making some great teas. They, I think, in just a couple of hours, set another record in terms of raising $800,000 from more than 500 investors. Do you have a sense that there's this big FOMO going on amongst equity campaigns nowadays? Because the pace seems to be quickening. They all seem to be filling their allocations faster than ever if it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think also it highlights the importance of that expression of interest process, because what a company is doing is, throwing the network open to identify who might be interested in their offer. And then typically the companies are engaging with these interested investors before the offer opens for a very critical and useful purpose. They're testing what the investors believe on valuation, making sure that the valuation is supported when the offer opens. So a lot of work goes into the preparation before an offer actually opens. So, for an offer to close in 2 hours, it looks like it's all been wrapped up pretty quickly, but weeks and weeks of effort, sometimes months, have gone into creating that situation. Look, I think they've hit their maximum target now. There are a lot of investors that have missed out. They're kind of accepting applications under review. This FOMO element, there are 5 business days cooling off rights. So, people kind of get their applications in, and if they want to change their mind, they have 5 business days to do that. And that's partly the reason for accepting applications under review is if there are cancellations, well then, we can make sure that the offer remains fully subscribed.
All right, I'm going to put you through your paces as I would anyone else raising money on the Birchal platform. How much you're looking for? I know you're in the EOI phase at the moment for Birchal. I think there's about 4 days left to go. And what are you going to do with the money?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm gaining a lot of empathy for our clients through this process. I think we're already empathetic, but even more so now. Look, originally we were looking to raise about $2 million. We're in the fortunate position that we're profitable. So we've had just under $1 million in profit for the 6 months to 31 December. This raise will really help us to move faster in building out the products and services that we feel this industry is going to need. I'm describing it to some people as the end of the beginning, if you like. It's been 4 years to get to this point and really prove that equity crowdfunding can be an important part of the financial system in Australia and a great solution to the early stage capital problem that has persisted in this country for a long time. The capital will help us move faster to basically ensure that investors and companies are supported. I would argue that we've got a really compelling solution for that primary capital piece, but as I was describing earlier, secondary trading is something that's very much needed. Investor reporting, just maintaining really good communication flows and free flow of information between companies and investors is something that we've just identified really could be improved, and we want to make this easy and simple and efficient for companies and their investors. And then I suppose just looking more broadly at the infrastructure to tie all of these things together, we see this as an asset class that's being offered to retail investors at scale for the first time. But an asset class will need, a bunch of these services to make sure that it's efficient and it's going to be a credible way for companies to raise capital, but also investors to build wealth.
Well, I do want to get an idea. You were talking about your profitability a little earlier. How is the EOI phase tracking at this stage? You're looking pretty content?
Yeah, look, we're really happy with the EOI numbers so far. Robbie, our Chief Campaign Officer, is running the campaign and advising me that if these stats were for any other company, we'd be really thrilled. So that's great. I think more meaningfully, though, it's been a great opportunity just to have conversations with people that have been using the platform over the last few years, and even ourselves, just kind of sitting back and realizing that the value of what we've built. This opportunity to engage with or find your audience and engage with your audience and have these conversations has actually been pretty delightful, if I'm honest. But more than that, like there's just been lots of opportunities that I've identified for improving the products, just things that from a company's perspective, like going through and using the platform yourself, just seeing how things could be made easier and more efficient and more meaningful for companies. So it's been really, exciting and terrifying at the same time, but I think it's going to make us build a better product. And we're really thrilled to be offering to the public.
And Matt, we've seen plenty of the companies that have raised with their customers backing the business along the way. Are you expecting some of your customers who've raised on Birchal to be buying into Birchal?
There have been a few that have reached out to us, which is great. Look, we're fortunate to develop a really close relationship with the businesses that we've funded. We do genuinely care about them, and developing personal relationships with these people and supporting them through their journey. So, honestly, we're a bit fearful that people might be concerned about us using the platform. Certainly, companies that were live at the same time as us, but we were very proactive in letting them know, what was happening, and just making sure that we're kind of still committed to, their raises, and that ours shouldn't be a distraction to theirs. And it's the support's just been tremendous, and it's really nice because I've heard your previous guests talking about the importance of community, and I couldn't agree more. I think as a society, community is becoming more important, and that's what we do is we help people build communities and nurture them, and ours is pretty strong, which is great.